Welcome, everyone. This is Yuri, aka Russian Prototype. Welcome to the live show. Tonight's topic is indeed a good one, a great one. Is casual sex good for you? Woo! We have so much to talk about. This is going to be a juicy one. You know, I get excited when we talk about some interesting subjects like that. So what do we have on our agenda tonight? We have some live guests that we're going to chat with. Hopefully we're going to get some interesting stories, some interesting comments. We have a YouTube video, TED Talk that we're going to watch. We're going to analyze the video because it is a very interesting video indeed. And then, of course, we're going to interact with the entire community, the Prototypes family. We're going to have a conversation as we usually do. Now, before I remember that if you are here and watching live, be sure to comment. That's the only way I can see who's actually watching live. And before I check with our audience, I want to kind of jump into this concept and to talk about it briefly. Concept of casual sex, casual relationships. You know, I think that we are living in this type of environment. This is no longer taboo. This is no longer something that we hear about from other people as an occasional thing or something that we see only in movies. This is part of our life, and this is very difficult to deny anymore. The casual relationships are real. Hookup culture is real. Therefore, we hear things such as Netflix and chill. We hear things such as friends with benefits. We hear things such as side chick, side dude. You know, 10 years ago, I think you wouldn't be able to hear all of these terms. Maybe a little bit, maybe 15 or 20, whatever that this time period is. I just don't recall, you know, a while back hearing about these concepts. And 21st century came in with a vengeance, you know. Now we do, and they're just becoming a part of our society. So exchange of pleasure with no string attached is just part of a culture now, and it's becoming more normal. Seem to be day by day. And this is what we're talking about today. This is what we're discussing. We're discussing, is it acceptable? Is this appropriate for you? That hence the question of tonight's topic, because I think you're going to have a difference of opinion for sure on this particular topic. And so the question is, I hope that by the end of this, some of you will get away from this discussion to, you know, with the answer to this question: is casual sex good for you? Because ultimately, each person, each individual will have to make that decision for themselves. So far, we have only Heather in the house. Hello, how are you today, Heather? Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. If you are watching, should leave a comment. Leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching from USA, let me know what state you're watching for and what city. If you're watching from another country, let me know the country. I appreciate every single one of you. We're going to have a live guest joining in just a moment, and I'm excited about it. She's never joined the live stream before, and she's going to join tonight and have a conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. Looks like Cheyenne is in the house as well. Hello. Thanks for hanging out. Virginia and Michigan are in the house tonight, which is awesome. So, you know, being live guests on the show, it could be a little bit nerve-wracking, you know, because people talk about their own experiences, and they put themselves out there, and that's not an easy thing to do, because, well, for one thing, obviously, you're sharing very personal things about you and about your life. But secondly, there could be some judgment out there by other people. There always is. somebody always going to judge, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. Felicia is in the house as well, Alabama. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Math homework. Oh my God. I remember those days. It's been a while. So as far as being a live guest, I just wanted to say a couple things about that. You know, I always invite um, part of my community, my audience, to join and to have these conversations because, well, for one thing, it makes it so much more interesting for me to learn about other people's experiences, what they went through, and just have a debate. Sometimes we end up with a little debate. We're going back and forth on our experiences, on our opinions, and try to make sense of some of these things. So I say all this to say that I cherish the opportunity to connect with people from all walks of life. I cherish the opportunity to hear your opinion. I'm very curious to learn about what people are going through in their lives, and what I really like is to understanding the rationale behind it. I kind of like to get through the core reasons, if you will. That's what's really interesting to me. Understanding really the rationale as to why people think a certain way, because I think people can say ultimately a lot of different things. Sometimes people don't always mean things that they say, but talking about the reasons why they think a certain way is a great interest for me. This really helps me to understand the way of thinking and the rationales. So with this topic, I mean, is casual sex good for you? There are so many different ways you can approach this, right? You can approach this by simply saying yes or no, and then you can argue for each. There is no right or wrong answer, I suppose. My own opinion on this, and I don't know if I should share my opinion just yet. I feel like I need to hold on to it so I don't impact or influence anybody else's opinion on that. One thing that I will say, kind of what I already started saying, since it became a common thing in our society, it really makes me wonder, makes me question. It makes me question its origins, how it all came about, how it started. And it seems to me that the casual sex and casual relationships always been there. I don't think it's new. I think it's how we go about it as a society is different from what we experienced before. In the past, I think family was the number one thing. And even when people cheated during marriage, they managed to stay together. I think the deal was, as long as you don't bring any children or any diseases in the relationship, and I don't know about what you do on the side, we're good. And I think for some people, maybe some of you who are watching, you may be saying, whoa, really? I think so because I think people always cheated. I think people always had casual relationships, but I think people put the wellness of the family above anything else. Right now, I think we kind of like live in a slightly different world. It seems to me that people are becoming more concerned with their own individual wellness. They are more concerned about almost like selfish in a way. I think we kind of have a bit more selfish of a society nowadays than before, because people, I think about themselves more so than previously. And I think because of that, we perceive things differently. I'm going to go ahead and text the guest to make sure that she still is joining. Here we go. And I think because we perceive things differently, we have different outcomes. I think, especially in the United States, um, people people concerned about what they can get for themselves. Um, let's see some of the comments. Heather said, I think people tend to follow the crowd and there's always FOMO. People do tend to follow the crowds. I think people see what other people do. Monkeys see, monkey do. There's a expression that people end up model somebody else's behavior, and when there is more people somewhere, people tend to follow along. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's new. It was less talked about. Now it's more open and accepted. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Heather said, I think it's the internet. I think the internet has a lot to do with it because it's sort of like democratized everything. Everything goes because you can easily see people half naked on social media. People make money that way, and people can justify it, you know? And the moment you can justify something in your own mind, it becomes acceptable. It made people able to access porns, other things. Internet has a lot of dark sides. If not used wisely, this technology is becoming, it quickly can go from a blessing to a curse. I believe it, and we see a proof of it day in and day out. We see how much money people spend on things like that. I don't know exact numbers, but you can look them up. The porn industry, it's definitely a billion-dollar industry. So there's tons of money in it. So people buy, essentially, for lack of the better word, people buy sex. Yet, same people who buy sex and who pay for sex will never acknowledge that. They will never admit that. So there's a lot of shaming going on, and there's a lot of hiding going on. With these concepts, right? Even though people like it and they want it, but they know that it's still largely not acceptable by the society. So we kind of play in this tug of war, if you will, right? We play a tug of war with our desires, things that we want to do, because clearly there is a demand for it. You hear all the time, sex sells. This concept did not appear yesterday. It was there for a while. So clearly, people are interested in sex. Yet on the other side of it, you're going to get criticized heavily by society for the fact that you engage in certain sexual activities, such as casual relationship could be one example of it. You're certainly going to get criticized if you are utilizing porn sites and anything like that. So there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with being open about sex, right? Let's see what else we have. Stay home. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Stay home. What does it mean? Is there like some sort of movement that I'm not aware of? Or what is it? Please explain. Hello, Jamie. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. By the way, Jamie, you made a suggestion on Instagram to make boiled eggs and put it in the pickle juice, and I did this tonight. So I'm going to keep them in the pickle juice for how many days? I think you said like 5 days. There's a lot of food exchange recipes going on between my community and I all the time. This is one of the perks. to be part of this community. One of many, many, many perks. Heather said, also the music plays a role with the constant sex talks. It shapes the minds of the youth culture. It does. It does. And, you know, I've been a part of it. When I came to the United States, I listened to a lot of hip hop. I was exposed to a lot of hip hop. In fact, um, the first ever person that I dated in the United States, she played hip hop in her car all the time, 24/7. So the first type of music that I was exposed to was hip hop. And at the time, I didn't even understand the lyrics or didn't understand what they were talking about. But, and I think it's actually hard for a foreigner to understand what they're talking about in hip hop video. There's a lot of slang, and just these things don't come easy, you know. But there are certainly so many things just that tailored towards sex and the culture that is showcased through some of these songs. It is not. I don't look at it as a real culture, meaning that things that being said, things that being described in some of the songs, this is not really most people's lives, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of it is like derogatory in nature. It's sounds like disrespectful, and so it's certainly not for everyone. Um, but one thing that you can't deny is that some of the people who create music, some of the artists, since they say these things and since they deliver that message in that particular way, this is their life. So think about that. Think about the fact that some people actually do live that type of lifestyle, and they describe that in their music. What does it tell you is that kind of what we talked about a little bit in the previous live streams, is that there are so many people out there and you just need to be selective about your whoever you're dating. You got to be selective because there are all kinds of people out there. There are plenty of people who can screw your life over, and you know, there are only so many of those experiences that you can have. You have one too many of those, it's easy to get disappointed and kind of shut down from the world, and then you can end up being a victim, something that we talked about yesterday. You can end up in your mind being a victim, and if you end up so my point being, all these sex games, all these relationship games, if you're not careful, if you're not really internalizing it first, if you don't know what you want, and if you don't know what you don't want, you can end up in a tricky situation, both genders. So you have to be very, very careful. Although women engage in hookup culture as much as men, do you think they're actually into it? I don't know. I feel women more often feel good before and during and guilty after. I have something in my mouth. I don't know what it is. It's probably not something you want to see on live stream. I don't know. It looks like a piece of like, I don't know what it is. That was weird. I gotta watch what I eat. Let me come back to this comment. Pretend you didn't see that. Erase it from your memory. Although women engage in hookup culture as much as men, do you think they're actually into it? I don't know. I feel women more often feel good before and during and guilty after. I'm gonna let my guest answer that because she's here now. So I'm gonna bring her on. Welcome, Sadie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Sorry.
Good. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. But you're not on camera, so no worries. Nobody gonna see you. Nobody gonna judge you.
Oh, yeah.
They can judge me. So let's go with this question, actually. So Cheyenne said, although women engage in hookup culture as much as men, do you think they're actually into it? So what do you take on that? You're a woman, so that's that might be a good segue into, you know, getting an opinion from a woman.
Okay, so honestly, with I don't know how it was like for like older generations, but I know for sure for newer generations, it's more like common for them to like have hookups. And so they don't really like feel guilty afterwards. But like me personally, I don't like that specifically. Like, so as far
Why?
as like,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. I thought you were done. I was just gonna ask a follow up question. Why you don't like it?
Okay, so me personally, I feel that's something very intimate, and I don't like how it's just thrown around in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that it's like very uncomfortable, and so I personally like would not do that. Um, but like it is becoming very common among the younger generations, and even like some older generations are like doing it now, as far as like hookup culture.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, it's definitely an intimate experience, and I can see your point. So, what's your take on it overall? So, you kind of already answered the question. So, I'm assuming is if you had to answer the question, is casual sex good for you? You would say no. Am
No,
I correct?
no, no way.
So let's dive a little bit deeper in that topic. So is that what problem are you seeing with that? Is the problem the fact that it just isn't enough time to get to know someone? Is problem that it's too fast and too open for somebody else literally have that type of connection, physical connection with you? Is the problem that men not usually respond well to women who give him sex too quickly? Like if we go one step further, just intimate connection, what else there, like what other reasons out there, what exactly like um, at play here?
So as far as reasoning goes, like there's a couple, like I know I think you've even said it before, women tend to be very emotional. We're very emotional creatures. We get attached, or most of us tend to get attached very fast. And for guys, it's like kind of different. And so, like, when we engage in hookup culture, we, you know, produce emotions a lot faster because we feel more connected, whereas the guy is just kind of like, eh, like it's just a casual fling. I've noticed as far as like or most situations.
So I'm glad you said that, because there's a difference between a fling and casual sex, because
Mhm.
casual sex potentially could lead to a relationship. So is the issue, what I would like to understand from your perspective, is the issue the act itself or the aftermath of the act?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to understand, you understand what I was saying, that fling and casual sex are not the same, because fling
Oh yeah.
has the the meaning, what's the word, like essentially when people say fling, other people think of short term, like one night stand, maybe a
Oh
couple
yeah.
times people hook up, right? Versus casual sex is just it's just casual sex. When I hear casual sex, I kind of don't know what that means in terms of what kind of consequences, is it a good consequence, is it a bad consequence? So that's how I perceive it. So my question is, um, does that, keeping that in mind, keeping those two factors in mind, does it have to do with the act itself, aka casual sex,
Hmm.
or more so the aftermath of the act, aka fling, meaning that other person does not want to talk to you anymore? Obviously you get hurt emotionally. I'm trying to figure out if the sex itself is a problem or what happens after sex is the problem.
I I would say after sex. After sex is a big issue because, like I said before, guys just, I mean, girls tend to be like, okay, so like they move a little quicker because they're already like kind of in planning mode, like as far as like a future, whereas the guy is just like one day at a time kind of thing. So
Okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I feel like the aftermath, um, there. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous.
It's okay. I'm nervous too. I'm on camera every night. I'm like I'm a nerve wreck. I'm you know what is this thing? A nerve something? I'm I'm always nervous. So
Nervous wreck. There you go.
nervous wreck. Exactly. That's it. See, I don't even know the words, and I still try to be on camera. So people can't even see you. What are you nervous about? You good? Don't worry.
I'm not okay. I don't speak a lot publicly, so it's like when I do, I'm just like, mixed jumbled words.
Technically, you're not even making an appearance. You making an audio presence.
People need to
You're
hear me
making a
though.
statement right now, Sadie. You're not making an appearance. But go ahead. Go ahead. I like what you were started saying.
Um,
You were saying that it's aftermath, basically. It's not the sex itself, right?
yes.
So then, my next question with that, does let's just stay. Let's forget about the fling. Let's forget about like a one night stand. Let's just talk about like casual sex, because casual sex does not mean that it cannot evolve into something else, right? So then, what is your take on let's just assume, let's play a scenario, let's play a role play that you not a role play, just let's imagine a scenario where you met a man that you really like, that he checks all the boxes, and he's you perceive him as a good man, and obviously it came up on one of the dates. Doesn't matter. I'm not even going to mention what date it is. Just one of the dates. Let's say it's one, like the first one of the first 3 dates came up that obviously he was interested in getting intimate. So he checks all the boxes. You like him. What's going to happen next?
Oh man. I wouldn't do anything. And I actually do have a scenario where this has happened. So I started talking to this guy, and he was looking for casual sex whenever we were talking. And I was uncomfortable with it. I didn't want to do it. Like, and I just said I was going to think about it because I hadn't done it before. And I was like, well, it doesn't mean that we won't get together just because, that happens. But I'm actually glad I didn't, because later on he admitted that he only wanted sex and didn't actually like want anything with me. Like he had basically admitted that he was going to use me. So that, yeah.
Do you think that there's a chance that he did it kind of because he was like self-conscious, or he was
Oh, not at all. This guy was like not self-conscious at all, not insecure in any way.
But hold on, but you saying that based on your perception of him, right? Like man could be looking like the perfect man, and they could be super you know self-conscious as well. Not to say that you're wrong, I'm just saying that sometimes it doesn't meet the eye, the insecurities.
I can understand that, but this guy specifically, like what certain things that I know about him, like I know for sure, like that was not it. Oof.
So but the bottom line, it comes down to the danger, the fear of not not finding the right man,
Mm-hmm.
and not trusting the man to be, the one that you can trust, if that makes sense. I think I just used the word trust too many times. But okay, cool. That's interesting. Anything else? Any other thoughts on this? I wonder if you have any questions.
I agree with Heather. I see she commented, I think casual sex gives some men too many options, which affects marriage rates and children being abandoned by their father. That actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I do agree with that statement.
She said, I think casual sex gives some men too many options, which affects marriage rates and children being abandoned by their fathers. So, okay, so let's talk about this. So, casual sex does not mean that it has to be unprotected sex.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't mean the other, like, as far as like I think casual sex gives men too many options. And the reason I say that is because with that, like, I feel like a lot of times there's like misinterpretation. Sweet
You got it.
Jesus. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Do you realize who you're talking to? You're talking to a guy who can't even put a sentence together sometimes. Why you apologize?
You make videos. It's easier for you. I don't do this.
You think it's easy for me. That's what I keep telling myself. You're good. You don't need no apologies needed. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say was that, like, a lot of times, like, again, women. I don't know. What was I gonna say? Word process. Like, I had the exact words and then I lost them. I'm sorry.
You started saying that, like, men seeing a lot of women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
you were going somewhere with that thought.
Yes. So a lot of times whenever it's like casual sex, like, most women think that, like, they're the only one that the person is seeing. And that's because, like, I feel like a lot of guys think that if they're like open about what's going on, then they're not going to get what they want out of it. And so like, a lot of women tend to think that they're the only one and there's not like a bunch of options behind the scene for guys, or even vice versa. And so they tend to get, like, played in a way. Do you understand what I mean?
I do. Do you think that women nowadays don't have a lot of options themselves?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
You saying that women do not have a lot of options?
Well, that's a complicated question in a sense, because, like, more and more you see and hear about, like, a lot other people's situations where, like, the guy or most guys, from what I've seen and what I've heard, they just don't really, like, want anything serious. And so, like, for, like, the people that actually want something serious, it's harder to, like, I'm sorry, I keep saying "like" a lot. I'm so freaking nervous right now. The
You're good.
I'm sorry.
You're good. Don't worry. You're good.
I'm sorry.
Are you all right?
No.
Are you laughing or are you crying? Which one?
I'm laughing. It sounds like I'm crying, but I'm laughing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. You're in a good mood. That's a good thing.
What am I trying to say? Okay, so I feel like a lot of guys nowadays, just, like, they like having the options. And so, like, whenever they, like, people want to get serious. I love you too, Cheyenne. Get serious, Sadie. Talk. Anyway, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. I'm usually not like this, I swear.
Get it together, Sadie. Get it together.
I'm sorry. Okay. So like I feel like people like really just like the options, so they're not really like actually looking for relationship, like serious relationships. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I guess what I'm trying to figure out, because we started talking about man, you
Mhm.
know,
Oh, sorry.
like this comment that Heather put down, specifically wrote down. I mean, casual sex gives some men too many options.
Mhm.
My point is, I think that if any attractive woman opens up her phone, she she will have probably far more options that men will. It's just different because women are pursued by men. Women are not pursuing, I mean, women are not pursuing men, men
Mhm.
pursuing women. So the
Mhm.
difference here is that women can, a lot of women, I'm not going to say all women, but a lot of women can open their phone and they can have a choice of man, that they can text and say, do you want to come over tonight, 11 p.m., my place? And five men will show up at her step door,
Mhm.
And it's not like that with man. Man need to, man, again, I'm talking about majority of men. Majority of men need to earn their right,
Mhm.
to be with the woman, you know,
Mhm.
one way or another. And if some women are just giving it out to men without, you know, no no mechanism, no way to pre-screen, just jumping in the bed right away, then that's just being irresponsible.
Mhm.
So my point being, how we can hold accountable both parties, because I think we can demonize man all day, but I think women do it in a different way. Women are not doing it so openly, but if woman wants a casual sex, quite frankly, it's just a matter of a text message.
Mhm.
Whereas I think it's different. I bet you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably have a couple dudes in your phone that you can just text and who can be at your door.
I don't
You
actually.
don't? Well, then good for you. But if you wanted to, so maybe because you maybe because you don't want to, but if you wanted to, like, how difficult would it be? Do you think that if you texted someone from the past, they would deny the opportunity to come and visit you?
Mm, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
What do you think this conversation would go? What do you think they would say? Do you think that they would just say, no, Sadie, I'm kind of busy tonight. I'm not, I can't do it. Do you think that that's what they're going to say?
No. Well, it just depends, honestly. But I'm gonna go with no.
Okay. I see it differently. I think that if you, I mean, let's do experiment. You can do it just for fun. You don't have to invite them. You can just text them and find out. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it if you really want to. If you're curious to know, you can do it as an experiment later, and just find one or two people and just say, hey, I've been thinking about you. What are your thoughts about, just swinging by there tonight or tomorrow? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And just see what he says, and then you will know for sure. I'm willing to bet that man that you're thinking about, unless they're really good men and they are dating someone, they will not deny casual sex. But coming back to Heather's point, I don't equate casual sex, and even point of too many options, that it still has to be responsible sex.
Mhm.
It can't be reckless. Just because people having sex, and it's casual sex, they're not in a committed relationship. It doesn't mean it should affect, or at least equal children. You know,
Right.
because there are two people responsible, for the act in the moment. That's just my take on it. But anyway, any other thoughts on the matter? You've shared some good information. Anything else that, you would like to discuss on it?
What was What was what I brought up? I already forgot. Look at me. We were talking about it earlier, and I literally forgot about it.
What was in regards to?
The topic, like over today's topic, but a point that I brought up. One discussion on casual sex should be about people who lie saying they want relationships but really just want casual sex.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like I literally wish people would just like act like adults and say what they want rather than like lying about it or beating around the bush. Cause like it just would make things like so much less complicated if you're just like upfront about it. And a lot of people don't do that. They're not upfront about it.
Yes. So let's. I love this. So let's talk about this. So there's a conflict of interest somewhat between the men and women, because men, at like a lot of men, the primary goal is to get sex.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the beginning portion is it. A lot of men end up in a relationship because of sex. That's for a lot, like whether you like to hear it or not, that's just how it is for a lot of men, you know.
Right.
That's the kind of like a metric, if you will, one of the important metrics, whether or not they're going to date you long term, like how good you are in bed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for women, on the other hand, I you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not primarily metric. Primarily metric is, can this man provide? Can this man be a responsible, what I'm trying to say, like not soulmate, but responsible partner? Can, you know, do you see potential in the future with this man and family? You know, I think that's the train of thought for a lot of women, right?
Right.
And so that's the conflict of interest. The reason I say that is because men are not trying to get into a relationship before they get to experience intimacy. They want to know. They want to know what they get into. They want to know whether they like it or not. On the other hand, because it's for so many men, it's a major part of the relationship. On the other hand, you have many women who are saying, no. I want relationship first. I'm a gatekeeper of sex. I don't want casual sex with you until you can commit. And so in my mind, you have this conflict. You have one person in man who wants sex before commitment. And then you have in females, you have another person who want commitment before sex. And so I think man became conditioned to, I'm not justifying lies. I'm not justifying lies. But I think man just figure out how to play the game and how to get what they want, you know? And so I think a lot of times they will sell women on and say things that women want to hear, but it's a short-term gain. You know, it's a short-term gain that satisfies their sexual desires, and then afterwards it could lead to a bad situation for men, because you know men also regretful about this. Don't think that men just like proud about it. It when you hurt somebody, a sensible man will feel bad about it, you know, but they not necessarily always think about it ahead of time, right? But you also end up with women who hurt as well, you know. So I think to that, it's very unfortunate to see that people resort to lies, but it's kind of like, how can I get what I want? Okay, I cannot get what I want by being honest. So how can I get what I want by deceiving? And I think unfortunately a lot of us men ended up in these crazy situations where, you know, we end up not telling the truth. And that's why I think a lot of what you're seeing a lot right now, there's a lot of YouTube channels emerging for men specifically, how to become, you know, quote unquote, high value man, how to really work on yourself, how to become the best version of yourself to where you can attract women, because women will, you know, chase, for the lack of the better word, really, really successful man, high status man, confident man, alpha man, you know, somebody who has it together and know who he is, right?
Mhm.
And so that situation is certainly better for men, but the issue is that you have 10 to 15% of men who are in this situation, who accomplish everything that they wanted, who are mentally, physically, emotionally sound, and these men are not commodity. Like it's more of a it's a minority, you know.
Mhm.
So I know I spoke for a long time. My main point is it's a conflict of interest, and it's like men just figure out how to play that game in order to get what they want. And so I actually have a question with that. So, you know, I know your take. You talk about why you kind of straying away from a casual sex,
Mhm.
but you know, if the sex is the only thing that really seemed to be like a sticky point, no pun intended, I guess, uh, between both genders, you know, maybe, just maybe, our society can look at it in a more relaxed way, you know?
Mhm.
Maybe it could be part of dating, you know?
Mhm.
Because the reason I say that is because if man likes you, if man truly likes you, I don't believe that he will necessarily leave you if you will engage in intimacy with him very quickly. Now, I think with that being said, I can see why for a lot of women is not acceptable because of emotional connection. But I
Mhm.
also think it's not just a cultural thing. It's the meaning that we assign. It's the preference, right? Um, and I know that, you know, like I'm being like I'm discussing like philosophical and idealistic things in nature. It's not like as if people just gonna drop everything and start trying to have casual sex. My point being, if not the only, but if one major thing that we seen is casual sex or lack of sex in the relationship, um, then you know something's got to give. Meaning that either men have to give in and just start being in relationships first, or maybe some female will say, well, do I really want to look at sex the same way, um, and am I going to be more relaxed about it and, you know, engage in more casual sex? But what are your thoughts on that?
This is such a hard topic. I'm not gonna lie. It's a hard topic for me. Um, so that I can absorb the question more, repeat it one more time, because I want to like give you the best answer possible.
Basically, the conflict. I am wondering about the conflict of interest that I described,
Mhm.
that women want mostly relationship and they want sex after relationship.
Mhm.
Men want sex before relationship, and um, they want to experience that intimacy very quickly.
Mhm.
So, given that there is a conflict of interest and there seems to be this tug of war going on, you know, what do you think the solution is here? Do you understand?
Yes, I would say that the solution would, for majority, would be, I mean, for women would, ugh, women would basically give in in this. Am I making sense? I'm sorry. I'm like,
You're making sense. You're saying women would give in. So,
yes.
what? How do you think? What would it look like? Like, describe what that means to me.
So whenever okay, so here's a scenario. So a girl or woman, I should say, um, she's wanting to talk to people, but those people always want um sex, but she doesn't do that, right? Um,
Okay.
so
Okay.
after so many times of it um not going the way that she thinks it's gonna go, or like get or it ended up not working out because she doesn't want to have sex, eventually she's gonna be like, okay, what if I try it? And so it just like kind of starts leaning more towards like women being willing to have sex to in order to like eventually reach what they're looking for in a sense. Like
Okay.
it's just gonna have to go that way in a sense. Um and it is happening more and more. So I think it I'm sorry. I'm really trying hard to make sense and it's like
No, I understand. I understand what you said. You're saying essentially like women would have to take a step forward. They would have to give in. They would have to give kind of this chance for to men to be intimate with them sooner rather than later. Um,
uh,
and then I get it. I understand. Do you foresee that happening, or do you think it's all just ideas that we're discussing here, but never really going to come to pass?
I do see it happening currently more and more often. Um I've literally had friends who kind of like had the same way of thinking that I do. And because things would never turn out the way that they hoped because, they weren't willing to have sex, they end up like flipping and saying what if and then actually doing it. And then they decide to lean more towards that because that's what's available.
So they ended up together.
No, but they end up doing that because they thought that if they gave in and were willing to try it, it would up the chances. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Um, so then, it's interesting that you said that women would have to give in because I don't think it's just about physical thing. I think that people make out physical, the intimacy thing to be a big deal. I think it's more about the emotional and mental um, aftermath.
Mhm.
The reason I say that is because if women treated sex like man, um, or more like man, maybe not entirely like man, but more like man, and they didn't look at it as such a emotional tool,
Mhm.
attachment, then imagine a situation where two people actually do it, and when both people end up being emotionally unscarred from the
Mhm.
situation, you know then all of a sudden, the way I see it is, all of a sudden, okay, it's not that big of a deal anymore. It's just timing, it's just decision making and judgment between two people. That's what it comes down to. I think the reason why we're having this conversation is because of how, and sometimes men perceive it in the emotional way too. So it's not always, but I think we can agree that majority of the time is, we know women are the ones who really get attached, and women are the ones who want relationships. So it's like, you know, I think if the mindset is changed and sex looked at as, okay, it's just a pleasure exchange,
Mhm.
and if something comes out of it, wonderful. Uh, if something does not come out of it, okay, I'm still going to be fine. I think if that's attitude, it changes everything. That's my point.
Mhm.
What do you
Um,
think on that last thing? And I will let you go.
I agree. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I see your thinking. Um, like I said, this is just a hard topic because like, you know, being for me personally, like being raised how I was raised and then like developing like how I think about it and like seeing it from my vision and then like having to be open to like, you know, for instance, like how you see it.
Hmm.
It's just hard. It's a hard topic.
Oh, I get it. I'm not saying it's an easy topic. I'm just throwing some crazy ideas,
Mhm.
crazy thoughts. I'm just throwing them on the table and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I might be criticized for my thinking. I might be criticized. I might get canceled. Uh,
Stop. Stop.
but I don't. I mean, you have to speak. You have to speak your mind. That's part of the, you know,
Yeah,
the beautiful thing that's called
definitely.
the truth or seeking the truth.
Lisa, I see you have a question. What does body count mean? Body count is like when someone asks you what your body count is, it's like how many they're asking you basically how many people you've had sex with.
Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we come to a time. We come to a point in time where we use expression body count
Yeah, it's
to
it's kind of
put number.
really like ridiculous question for someone to ask. It's really personal, but I mean, yeah, people ask personal things like that.
Yeah, they do. Seti, thank you so much for being here and
Hmm.
interacting. I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate your, take on things. It was fun chatting. Have a wonderful night. Okay,
Yeah, thank you, you too.
take care. I love these conversations. I love it so much because it's just again, exchange, experience exchange. Guest number two, if you're ready, please jump in. Please jump in. Oh, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Um, I'm looking forward to that. Let's see some comments. I think, did I already see this? Oh no, maybe I didn't. Shai said, "What percent of men would say women who engage in casual sex with them are not marriage material? I wonder for most men, how soon it too soon if you want something serious." See, Cheyenne, this is a fascinating question. This is a fascinating thought because I think back in the day, that would be very reasonable to assume. And in fact, I can tell you that I felt that way. Like in Russia, in Russia, people actually would say back in the day in the 90s, like, oh, if she sleeps with you in the first date or second date, she's not good. She's not a good woman. She's not a wife material, right? This was a, a mindset, right? But think about this though. We live in a different era now. We live in an era where women are so independent. Women are sexually free, and women. A lot of women are not afraid of judgment, right? They're not afraid of the stigmas. So what it comes down to is what this particular woman wants to do. I understand that it's a very idealistic and philosophical approach in some sense, and I understand that some, parts of society, sections of society, still going to judge, and they can judge all they want. The question becomes, how free is this woman to let go of the judgment and do what she really wants? Meaning that if she wants to have casual sex with someone, she should have a right to have a casual sex with someone. If she doesn't, of course, she doesn't have to. And so, in regards to your question, because times have changed so much, I don't even think that men can look at it the same way. You know, man could be their own nemesis. Let me explain. Man can like a woman very, very much, a good looking woman. They can approach her, they can date her. Ultimately, they want to sleep with her. But then sometimes when men sleep with a woman very quickly, they start having these ideas. Okay, is she good? Is she a good, like a girlfriend material? Is she's going to be suitable for a long term relationship with me, right? So this is my question is, well, what do you know about that woman? I mean, are you making this judgment solely on a sexual act, or do you know for a fact that this woman is sleeping around with bunch of different men, right? There are conditions that has to be considered here. If I know that this woman is a super promiscuous person and this woman is having side relationships with a number of men, it changes things, right? But if I believe that this woman is a decent woman, you know, she's not sleeping around, she wanted to get intimate with me. Maybe she wanted to get intimate with me, you know, because maybe she felt the moment, she felt the connection, she liked who I am, and she decided to proceed forward. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we're in the 21st century. I don't have a problem with that when both people engage in responsible intimacy, you know, consensual, responsible intimacy. And I think another thing is that when you have two mature people who are on the same page and who really feel that connection, who want each other, and who, you know, not going to come out and see the thing is that when you start like digging deeper into the subject, it's just so many things can happen along the way, right? There are so many things that can happen along the way from both ends, right? What if the guy is not responsible guy and not going to want to use protection? What if a woman is, you know, going to start gossiping about the guy and that she has a relationship with the guy when the people didn't agree, both of them didn't agree on the relationship, right? What if the guy start gossiping to his friend about this woman, right? What if this woman is going to, you know, demand the relationship after the fact? You know, there's just so many things that could happen, and I think that's what also makes things tricky about this whole deal, about, you know, jumping into intimate relationships so fast with someone. But I think that more and more people also engage in open relationships. More and more people engage in casual relationships. More and more people like have friends with benefits, and this is just the reality. You can ignore it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can ignore it all you want, but it happens all the time. So to answer your question, I know I talked quite a bit about it. The second part of the question, I wonder for most men, how soon is too soon if you want something serious? I mean, my question is, why do you think that's going to deter a man, modern man of today? Why do you think that's going to deter him? This is where my previous point comes in. If you end up, let's just say you end up doing this. Let's just say you end up sleeping with a man on the first date, casually. You liked him. You gave him some cookies. Let's say he doesn't call you anymore. I mean, that's a even value exchange, right? You gave sex to each other. He gave you sex, you gave him sex. He doesn't call. What? He's lost. He's lost. If he's going to do something crazy, report him to police. Am I too unreasonable to say that? But what the other side of it is, what if he's a good guy, and what if he's going to keep coming back, and what if he's going to offer you to be his girlfriend? Is that out of possibilities? I don't think so. I don't think it's out of possibilities. I think if connection sometimes is there, am I really going to say, she slept with me on the first date, I could never see her as my girlfriend? Yet, I don't see anything wrong with her emotionally. I don't see anything wrong with her in terms of her ambition for maybe career. I see her as potential good mother. I see her as a fun person to spend time with. I see her as a responsible adult. I see her as a kind individual. So what's the problem? Is the problem that woman gave you sex? So does it come down to somebody else's insecurities? Does it come down to somebody else's lack of belief that person who actually wanted to be intimate with you on the first date can be something serious down the road? Maybe the problem isn't the person who wants to be intimate with you down the road. Maybe the problem is yourself. Can it be? I think it can be. I guarantee you there's some people married right now sitting at home who probably hook up on the first date. So I think it's about meaning that you create with it. I don't know where my second guest is. I just remember I have to text her. Oh, she responded. She's coming in a minute. So I think a lot of it is about the meaning that you create. In your head, what does it mean? It's about, yes, of course, it's cultural. If your native culture going to be judgmental towards it, or if they're going to shame you, for the fact that you're going to have casual relationship or intimate relationship with someone on the first or second date, of course, it's not going to be easy for you to even consider that. It's not going to be. All right, the co-host is here. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Had to get my kid to go to bed because it's 9 o'clock. Like, you have to get up early in the morning to go to school. Like, go to sleep.
I'm glad you did that, because this is a serious talk. So.
Yes, it really is.
Is casual sex good for you?
It's a complicated question, and yet it's not. It also depends on the person. I guess coming from a woman's perspective. Okay, basically, like, what do you want in terms of longevity? If you want to have, like, the kids, the husband, the house, the big front yard, backyard, stuff like that, casual sex probably isn't for you.
Why is that?
I mean, because you kind of put yourself in a position where, okay, like, if you want to, and there's nothing wrong with having casual sex. I'm not saying that, but you have to also expect from, okay, the male, like, if you sleep with him, I was like, okay, and then he might want to sleep with you again, and then a couple more times. There's a 50-50 chance. Maybe he wants to get in a relationship with you, or maybe he doesn't. So it's just like you're taking a risk.
But you're going to take a risk. But you take a risk anyway, right?
Yeah, even if you take the risk anyway.
Even if you're going to go out with him, you don't have guarantees that he will end up in a relationship with you.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. But if you want something like long lasting, I think, and the problem is too, like, a lot of people don't like state what they want up front. If all you want to do is bang all the time, okay, find something that wants to do exactly the same thing that you're doing. Don't bring somebody in that, wants a relationship, wants something way more than just, a 5-minute quickie. Like, no, like, not everybody emotions are built to handle stuff like that. Not everybody's mature to handle stuff like that. So you have to be careful in deciding whether you're not. And then it's just giving your body up willingly. That's I've grown up a lot, like, in my 20s. If I was still in my 20s, I would say, casual sex was fine, because I used to do it. Girls can be just as ruthless as men. There was an occasion, like, it was one guy that I met, and he wanted something more. I didn't. So it was kind of like, he wanted to go on a date and buy me flowers, and it was just like, sir, like, all I wanted was your penis, and that's it. And I was like, let's be real. Like, I didn't want to, like, keep leading the guy on. Like that's all I wanted.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, and that's the thing. I'm more of a like I'd rather hurt your feelings than to sit up here and like keep continuing up a lie or like a facade.
Did you tell him that? Did you tell him this, sir? Excuse me, sir. I just want your penis, sir.
I didn't exactly say that word. It was a different word. It was a little bit more graphic than that.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, your penis, sir.
Yeah. Like penis on all five.
Leave your penis at the door, sir, prior to exiting the premises.
Yeah, and you can't sleep in my apartment. Like you could go. Like you know, there's Tootsie Rolls in a bowl at the front of the door. You can grab some when you leave. You know, I don't want you to be here in the morning. Just go. But I was just back in my 20s, and you know, like I said, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't until I got pregnant. That's when I was kind of like, okay, well, obviously, you know, with casual, even though I was in a relationship at the time, when I got pregnant with my daughter, it's like the thought shifted, obviously, because I had to grow up, because I had another person who was going to be looking to me to take care of her for everything. So once that happened, it's kind of like everything kind of like changed, and I started looking at sex in a different, like, of course, it would be like, okay, well, I don't really just want to meet somebody and just to have sex. I mean, sex is fun, it's cool and whatnot, but I don't want to just do it with people or a person that I find, and then it's just like, okay, well, I didn't want to do the same thing that I did back then. So once I became a mom, once I had a daughter, of course, yeah. So it changed, and it's just like, you know, the whole thought of casual sex was just kind of like weird to me, I guess. It's just, I looked at it from a different perspective. So, and like I said, if you're a woman, like, I think women shouldn't feel as if they need to have some sort of, well, you know, I'm a woman, I'm supposed to be, you know, like a lady and things like that. I mean, yeah, you can, but you shouldn't have to feel that, you know, sex is something that, okay, well, if I start dating this guy, I'm giving him 3-month rule and stuff like that. If you go on a date with a guy, if you want to have sex with him on the first date, go ahead. That's your choice. But I think you should also have a...
Felicia, internet. Let's see. Let me just make sure. Hopefully she can come back. She was saying some good stuff too. Yeah, I can see how becoming a mom will change things. I can see that. I mean, because now you're responsible for somebody else's life. It's not just about you anymore. It's about your child's life. And now, you know, you're a protector now. You're a provider to your child. The child depends on you. So shout out all the single moms out there. I get it that it's different for a lot of moms. Let's look at some comments while Felicia is trying to get back here. I think I've seen one from Jamie that was interesting. So I want to find that one if I can. If I can. It was something about respect. It was something about respect, I think. Let me see. I've seen it and now it just disappeared. There are so many comments. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for engaging. I really appreciate that. I've seen that comment and then it just disappeared. I think it was a comment pertaining to um, Jamie was saying, I can't find the comment, but Jamie was saying that she didn't agree with the premise of women um, becoming intimate too quickly. And I think she was saying because of, oh, here we go. I think that's the one. I can agree with women becoming free with sex. I think women need to respect themselves and demand that respect from men. Um, my thing is, you know, I'm curious. I'll be curious to find out, can both exist in harmony? Meaning, can, casual sex happen, and can respect from men still happen? I want to believe that it can. I think a reasonable man not going to disrespect you just because you had sex with him. I think a childish man will do that. Um, I think a grown man will not do that. That's my take on it. I truly believe that. Well, not just grown men, but emotionally stable, emotionally intelligent man, sensible man, confident man. I don't see that. All right, I think Felicia is back. Let's bring her back. All right, you back.
Okay, we got it back.
Yes. It looks like your internet maybe is better now, even, right?
Yes, it's better.
What did you do? Did you switch
I
to
don't know.
Wi-Fi?
I had to switch. Well, from the Wi-Fi to
To
my
the cellular? Okay.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
and then I had to tell my kid, get off YouTube, get off Roblox, whatever the hell you're playing right now. Like I'm trying to be on a live show.
Mama is on a live show. Get off your game. Okay,
Get
so
off
cool.
the
Thank
game.
you for doing that. You started saying, well, you said a piece about being a mom, and that it is different for you now because you're a mom, and you started saying something else. So finish your thought.
Okay, so I forgot a little bit, but okay, like becoming a mom and then having a daughter. Like
Yes.
I don't want her doing the same shit I'm doing. Like it's just like I don't want her to be out here. Like I don't want her to be out here hoeing and going on. Let's just put it like that. I
Mm-hmm.
want her to have self-respect in herself, and I think like, okay, and some little guy come your way, and just because he says little nice things, you know, he can stick his little pee pee in you. Like, no, it don't work like that. It, like you should have a lot more self-respect for yourself, and like it's like, no, sir, like just because you said this, like, no, you're not welcome to me, and like unless you like trying to know me, like you want something more than just the sex part. Of course, I can only teach my kids so much, and whatever she takes into adulthood, that's on her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just as women, it's like we live in a state of like we hang on like the whisper of sweet nothings like all the time. It's just like a guy says like something so nice. It's like, oh, you're so beautiful. You have a nice voice. Like you just they tell you what you want to hear. Basically, most men tell you what you want to hear in order to get in your pants. That's the game. That's the game of life. That is how it is. And like a lot of women don't want to expect that. They want a man like, oh, I want a man to sweep me on my feet, be my prince. I'm like, ain't that many princes out here. Let's just be
Only
real.
frogs.
Exactly. It's frogs in the street. Like I said, get ran over all the time. So, but you have to. I don't know. You kind of got, like I said, me. I'm very unorthodox. I'm a very unorthodox woman. I'm not like your typical woman when it especially comes to thought process. I'm very out of the box. I'm extremely blunt. I know what I want. I know what I don't want, and I'm very freely in expressing that. And if I don't like something, I'm gonna say something about it. That's just how I was raised. It's just a part of me, and I try to raise my kids to be like that. Like just don't take no shit. Like if it smells like bullshit, it is. So I think for women, when it comes to casual sex, like I said, it's fine if it's for you, but not don't go into the. I think we talked about it yesterday, like doing, just because somebody, a person likes something and you like it too. It's just like, just because a guy like says like, oh, I want to have sex with you, don't be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's have sex. Like, if you don't want to, if you have, especially like if you're like, okay, I got a 3-month rule, or I'm not having sex till marriage, don't just go and have sex with that person just because he wants to. I mean, that should be common sense, right? Like you would think that, especially as an adult. If don't do anything that you aren't comfortable in doing just because he said so, and then he tells you all this nice shit and stuff like that, and he wants to really be with you, and especially if he just want to hook up with you, chances, I think somebody stated this before, chances are like he banging somebody else too. Like, you're not the only one, you know.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
were the only one, you would be in a relationship. So, like, if it's just a hookup, it's just he's hooking up with you, and then he can still hook up with other people. And then you can do the same too, if that's what you guys both agree on. But that's the thing. This has to be communicated in the beginning. One person can't be like going in there like, oh yeah, if I have sex with him, like I'm gonna give him like the best sex ever. Like, he's gonna get the greatest blowjob ever. Like he gonna want me. And I was like no, because it's probably like 10 other girls can give like better blowjobs than you two, and then it kind of like knocks you out of the run. So really, there's no point. So you just basically just giving up your tricks for free, giving up free tricks.
But so this is interesting. So let's stay here. So why do you think that you're giving up your treats for free? Because it's a value exchange, right?
I mean, it's a value exchange.
If you're going to give him a best blowjob, he should be able to respond with the best, he do his part to you, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess from that perspective, why are you concerned about doing something best for him if you think you have a man who is willing to do the best for you?
That's a good point, but it's like a lot of us, and some women like don't normally perform stuff like that, but you're doing it because like, oh, like he seems nice and stuff like that. Like, I'm gonna do this for him because he's special or whatever.
Well, let me ask you this then. What if you do 50% of effort on him, on let's just say how you say it, 50% effort blowjob. And then he goes in and just blows your mind with how good he is, and he make you have like 5 orgasms,
Mm-hmm.
Then how would you feel? You'd be like, oh, I didn't even put my best effort forward,
I mean,
So at that point, listen, at this point, you literally use the guy.
yeah, that's very true. Women do that too. We can use you for certain things.
So like using this example, that's not even fair for men.
Yeah, that's a good point though. That is a good point. And
so isn't it really about isn't it about people at the end of the day? I guess like if you find a guy who just blows your mind, on the first date or first time, whatever the date, it doesn't matter. It's not about first or second date at this point. It's about, we're talking about casual sex. If we define it, so would we agree that casual sex, meaning that having sex without having commitment, because there's essentially what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't matter what, in this instance, doesn't matter what date it is, whether it's first,
Right.
second, third, whatever. Point being, like, this guy comes in with the intent to do his very best for you and to please you, right? But then, he doesn't get the same thing in return, and then all of a sudden, now the table has turned.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, now he should be complaining and he should be unhappy about the entire situation.
Right.
But I don't think that men usually do that. They might say like, oh, lousy job, lousy blow job, I don't know if I'm going to call her anymore. Which is, by the way, would you, for one moment, think about the fact, what if he doesn't call because it was a lousy blowjob?
Well, that's just childish on his part. Like, we basing stuff off blowjobs.
No.
That's
No.
crazy.
Meaning like, okay, no. I mean, blowjob is the example. I'm saying
Okay.
if a man feels that like you did not give your all, or you did not even care, you wasn't present in the process, right?
Hmm.
And then, but on the other hand, he's like, he blew you away. You were like amazed, or at least you were satisfied. Let's put it that way, right?
Yes.
And now, can we assume that men might not return or might not call or text next time because it was just subpar sex? It was not really even that good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty fair argument. I mean,
Right. But so the point being though, I think what a lot, if that's a fair argument, then a lot of women will take it as, well, it's because it's casual sex. It's because it's first or second date. You know, it's because I did it too quickly. And of course, there was a mistake. He didn't call. Where in fact, if we accept the fact that it could be lousy sex and the lack of presence in the moment,
yeah.
then, that could be a fact where like people bring it on themselves. And I can see that where the table is turned too. Like if man does a bad job, poor job, and just like does not satisfy a woman sexually, women might say, well, that's one and out.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. Um, it's just
What, my point, I was gonna say, my point is this: like, I think there are hidden things like that people really never talk about. Like,
yeah.
I really haven't heard people talking about that kind of stuff. Like, what if the problem isn't sex? The problem isn't casual sex as concept. What if the problem is performance, or lack of care, or lack of presence, lack of compassion, lack of all these things that people feel good about,
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I get that, and I can attest to that too. Especially, okay, like I know, like my best friend, she was talking to a guy, and like they were, I guess they liked each other or whatever, and then she told me about, um, I guess after the first day she wanted to sleep with him, and I was like, all right, just protect yourself and stuff like that, because I don't need to be babysitting no more babies. So I think they did, and like she like blocked him and stuff afterwards, and stopped talking to him, and I was like, he seemed pretty nice, like why did you like stop talking to him and stuff like that, and you don't have sex? She was like, well, it wasn't that great. So I was like, oh, okay, so you just like blocked him completely and ignored him because of that. I mean, he might have been nervous, you don't know. But I mean, but that's just her. But with that example, I can see that being a kind of like a three strikes. That's already like your three strikes happens at that moment, and you're out for some people, which is so dumb to think about. But like if you're a man and you have a sex with a girl first date, you've been wanting to hook up with this girl for the longest. You have sex with her, and then it's just like, well, she's not as good as I thought she would be. I was like, so what were you thinking? Like she was gonna be like porn star esque or something? Like I don't get the mindset of some men, like how they think like that. Like it's just because she's a beautiful woman, like that automatically assumes that she's going to be like just g- really great at sex. Like she could be like fucking like when a deer is born for the first time and can't fucking walk, and it's just like she's like a baby deer when it comes to sex. But like you want to knock her because you stop talking to her completely because like she wasn't good enough or something like that. See, that's the bullshit that I don't understand. Now it happens in both gender. Women and men do it too. Men do it a little bit more often. And working around a bunch of men, I've heard it all from what they talk about, and it it be kind of it be kind of messed up. Like when I hear them talk about it, I don't be trying to be nosy, but they just be talking loud. But then I just like stand there and like listen. And I just be like, that's like, why did you do that, girl, like that? Like, that's so disrespectful. Like, you going to hell for that. Like, all y'all going to hell. But yeah, it's just like some men just find that once they have sex with a girl, and we're gonna block, we're gonna not talk to them, like we're gonna walk past them as if we don't even know they exist. And it's some men that do some like real messed up shit like that, and like these are the men like women need to avoid. I mean, they're out there, they're like predators. So, and it's, I don't want to say, that's kind of a bad word to say, but I mean, in a way, it's just like they find this girl, they see her, like, oh, like, you know, I'm gonna talk to her and stuff like that. And then, as women, we shouldn't be so eager enough to jump just because a guy like comes and talks and say you're beautiful and stuff like that. Like, hey, can I get your number? And then you go on in the parking lot and like giving him a blowjob like on the first day. Like, that's the problem. You should not do that. Why do that? You know, because obviously that puts you in a category at that point. And I'm not saying that women are wrong for that. It's just men kind of see that they jump on the opportunity to take advantage of a woman who's just like willing and open to have sex like right then and there. And then once they do that, it's just like, okay, well, she up for anything. And they just, you know, do whatever they will as they please. They'll stop talking to them, and like probably like 3-4 months later, they'll call them again. And it's like, hey, haven't seen you in a while. You know, let's hook up. And it's just like, well, damn. It's like a vicious cycle that always happens. And I see it more often than not at my job. And it's kind of disgusting. But like I said, I'm not here to judge. So, you know, these people live their lives the way they want to live them. And, you know, that's why I get a lot of good examples. You know, anytime I'm on these lives and give like my experience and stuff, most of it is the shit I see at work. Most of the time, like, because it happens more often than people think. So, but yeah, casual sex, like if you're looking for a man and on a relationship, okay, I wouldn't say casual sex is bad. However, just as two consenting adults, both of y'all need to have a conversation, okay? It's just like, if this leads somewhere later, like if we're gonna keep banging each other, like there should be like after a few months to like a year, if y'all still banging, like, okay, like a conversation needs to be had. So it's like, so what are we doing? Or like, what's the main, like what girls usually say is like, so what are we at this point? Like, what are we if we're gonna keep banging all the time? Like, we bang all the time, we might as well be something. I mean this, it's hard to navigate, especially like in the times that we live in, because it's just like, you know, sex is like available everywhere. Like, you can go here, go there, you know, at first, like the whole Tinder thing, I thought basically Tinder was nothing but like where people found other people close to them to have sex. I didn't know it was like a dating site. I thought, like, 'cause I hear people talk about it at work, and it was like, oh yeah, I met this girl on Tinder and I hooked up with her. So I just thought like what is Tinder? Like, it's like, is that like a place you pick up people? Like, you hook up? Like, I don't know this. I don't know what this, like, swiping left, swiping right. Like, what y'all swiping for? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's weird. I don't know. It's weird.
Weird times. We live in the weird times. I wanted to address Heather's question. Does your stance on two consensual adults having casual sex change when kids are involved? Why or why not? Once the kids are involved, you must be a responsible adult who is taking care of your children.
Yeah.
Now, if that means that, for one thing, it doesn't mean that you are, you didn't mention if the adult is single or not. I don't believe. You just said stance on consensual adults. So if you have a single father who decides to date someone, and he's taking care of his child, and obviously no drama is involved and child is not affected, I think it's up to that person what he decides to do. That's my stance on it. I think that, as I mentioned when you drop off, Felicia, I was saying that I would imagine that kids change everything, because it's no longer about you. You are not the main, focus anymore. The kid is the main focus. You have another human being that you're responsible for.
Hmm.
So in that sense, you're gonna, in a way, you're gonna be putting your needs. I imagine, I don't have kids, but I imagine you'll be putting your own needs on the back burner.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else we have. We have some interesting comments. Jamie said, I think we need to teach young women that they don't need to focus on family and kids. Go become your dream to travel, go travel the world,
Love, 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 love this comment. Love it.
or start a business.
I love it. I love, 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 love this comment because as soon as I had my kid, like I went back to school, got my degree and stuff like that, and it was just like I was more focused on providing a better life for my daughter as opposed to fooling around with these little punk ass men out here. So I'm just like, my focus is on her to make her life better. And like, if the right man comes around later on, okay, that's fine. But I'm gonna be able to do the things that I need to do to make sure she's happy and have a good life. You know, because like she doesn't have a father in her life, so I have to, work 1,000 times harder to make sure that she grows up to be a responsible young woman and makes the right choices and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think that that's important. Like, and then even with going off of Jamie's uh, comment with the just like I take it to like how toys are marketed to kids. Baby dolls. As kids, you have you have baby dolls, like you buy a stroller and stuff, change diapers and stuff like that. It's just like you're kind of instilling in the mind of a young girl, like you have to become a mom. When in actuality, you don't have to become a mom if you don't want to. But it's just like, you have like little baby dolls, and that's another thing too. I've had so many baby dolls, Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, Barbie dolls when I was a none of that shit prepared me for having a real actual live baby. That is so I don't know what they were trying to do when they were trying to like give us these like baby alive dolls like you could feed and stuff like that. And you have a little baby to carry around. I was like, no. A real baby is a lot harder than those damn baby dolls.
Mm-hmm.
So and they don't do that with boys' toys. They get dinosaurs and like cool shit like that, like action figures, like GI Joes and all that cool shit. We
Mm-hmm.
got like they have like brooms and vacuum cleaners like as toys for girls. It's like it's like we already put in the like this is what you become, little girls. You become domesticated. And that thing, I think that's never really been acknowledged. And then the funny thing about that is my kid actually told me that, and I was just like sitting there thinking like, because my kid doesn't like baby dolls, she doesn't like Barbie, she doesn't like anything like that. She's more
Mm-hmm.
into she has stuffed animals, which is her thing. But yeah, the concept of baby doll, she was like, why would I want to walk around carrying a baby and I'm a kid myself? And I just sat there and thought like, you know what? You kind of got make a little sense. And I didn't, tell her that. That's just what she came up with in her little 11-year-old brain. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this kid has been here before. Like she knows a lot more than more than me than I did when I was 11. So, and I just think that it's women shouldn't have to feel that we have to okay. And then the whole I used to have friends when I was little telling like they think about oh this is how I want my dream wedding to be. And I was like, shit, I wasn't thinking about like a dream wedding at like 8. Like watching like Transformers and shit. Like like y'all thinking about dream wedding. Like I'm waiting for the new episode.
Oh no. Oh no. I was gonna ask her follow-up question. Felicia, come back. Oh my goodness, that's been quite a night with the internet. Well, this was a good talk. Hopefully she comes back again. Um, I want to pull up this question. Elvia, thanks for being here. Ask a question. When do men feel used? Men feel used when women allow them to buy drinks at the bar or at the nightclub, um, implying that it will lead to something, um, knowing that it will not lead to anything, and they continue drinking the drinks. Men feel used when the woman at late night call them asking for a ride, and I'm assuming, I'm not assuming, I'm talking about a situation where both men and women are dating. Um, I'm not talking about strangers or friends. I'm talking about dating situation on this in this example, um, where there's a clear romantic interest exists. So I feel that men feel used when this woman that man is dating calling late at night asking for a ride from a party or from a bar to her house. Um, Again, without implying to something, but not really following through with anything. Um, Men feel used when men being deceived, you know, same way that, not the same way as women do, but um, similar ways, I suppose. Is your internet okay now?
I guess I don't know. They're actually working on it now, so I see the problem. They're working on something
Hmm.
outside, I guess.
Well, we'll try it again.
So
I just
we might be good. We may not be good. We'll see.
So you were talking about
We'll see.
how it. If I understood your point correctly, you were talking about how
I can see
girls.
you, but
Say it again.
I don't know.
Can you hear me? Man, I think it's a tough one tonight. She said, I hate the internet. Oh my goodness. Let's just look at some comments. It's been a good convo. It's been a good convo. We're really going deeper. I can't have casual sex with respect given until our society quits judging women for having sexual encounters the same way that men aren't judged for having casual sex. Yeah, I think this is a big point of discussion right here. I do think that men get judged for having casual sex. I think it's just a different judgment, right? I think if you have man that just sleeps around and just so open about it, I think he's still gonna get quite a bit of grief. But I certainly think that women is going to get a lot more um, blame and just um, shaming, for the same type of actions, and there is double standard in that regard. But but I also think that in the United States of America today, um, we live in the time where women have a choice to do whatever they want. I honestly think that. I think you can make your own decisions, and as long as you're happy and you at peace with those decisions, women not very sharing. They're not as open. I think men get proud about sleeping around. Men want to showcase that they have many women a lot of times, whereas women, they private about their matters. So I think that makes a difference as well. Let's try it one more time. Hopefully this time you're gonna stay on.
I'm gonna go seriously kick the AT&T people ass outside. That's why they just came out there not too long ago.
Yeah, ask them for a refund because they're messing up a live show right now.
They really are, and it's insulting and very disrespectful.
Oh my goodness. We might not forgive them ever. Um, let's see. I'm just going through some comments. I was on it and got off. I too thought it was a dating site. Newsflash, it's not. I think it's regards to Tinder.
Yeah. But I don't know, because like people talk about it at work. The guy talking about girls, like, oh, I met this girl on Tinder last night. You know, like we hung out, got drunk, and like we had sex. I'm like, so Tinder's a hookup site? I didn't know.
That's funny. Yeah, Tinder took the world by storm, for sure. If a guy wants to cry over like $20 thinking he's going to get the vagina, here, have a tissue. So this is very interesting, you know, because I don't think amount matters. I don't think amount matters. It's the principle, right? Is not an even value exchange, right? Because like Felicia, you talked about that how conversations need to take place, right?
Yeah.
So then I don't believe that women who, let's say, use the nightclub as an example, I don't believe that women are naive. Majority of women are so naive that they don't understand why guy buys them a drink, because buying a drink is an invitation for something else.
Yeah.
Either for a phone number, either for a lot of guys trying to get late when they go to a club. Let's call it how it is. So if you as a woman doing that, and you allow a guy to do that, but then you do it intentionally, you're not giving any value back, then what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I understand the whole concept of, you go to a nightclub, guys buys you a drink. It's kind of like, what did you think that I was doing, but it still doesn't like necessarily make it right. I mean, that's kind of like predatory behavior, to be honest, but it's a norm. I mean, we know it's a norm. I wouldn't. I used to go to the nightclub, but nightclub really isn't my scene. One, because I can't stay up past 9 o'clock anyway, so it doesn't really work for me now. But back then, okay, back then I guess you could say, like, if I was at a nightclub with my friends and a guys wanted to buy me a drink, well, my first thought was, because back then I was like borderline alcoholic anyway, so I was just like, I just want to get drunk. That's basically it. Like, right. I wasn't really thinking about them. I was like, I wasn't like, I don't know if I'm gonna sleep with you, if any of them. I just want to get drunk. That's basically it. I just want to have drunk and like sing karaoke with my friends. That's basically it. But some guys, they'll buy you a drink and then it's just like conversation and just like you so inebriated at that point. It's just like, what? Everything sounds good at that point. So it's just. And then it gets to, hey, I'll drive her home. I had those times where you be with friends and, one of the friend leaves the group because the guy drives them home when they don't come home until like the next morning, and some dude's t-shirt and fucking gym shorts. So, I mean, it's like I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but like I said, it's the norm, and I think women don't go into the nightclub intentionally thinking like, I'm gonna just sit up here and let guys buy me drinks, and whoever like gets me drunk is the first I'm gonna go home with them. I mean, it's not like that. It's just we don't necessarily think that like, oh, we're going to the nightclub, get drunk, and then we're gonna hook up with a guy. Some women may think that, but
I get that. I don't think that women should. Oh my God! I hope this is what, fourth time. Felicia, come back. Oh my God! Look, I don't think that women should, go to a guy's house or do anything intimate with a guy just because give him a drink. My question with that is, it seems like it's taking advantage of somebody, because if the roles reversed, and if women did something for the guy, then I think now we're having a different type of conversation. Like, oh, she did something for the guy and guy didn't reciprocate it, you know? So it's like, it's just a weird concept to where like if, because we're still talking about a stranger. We're talking about somebody you don't know. Like you can have a conversation without a drink, right? Why accepting this drink from a stranger? To me, it's just a weird concept that I think about it now. If you ask me like 5 years, even 2 years ago, I wouldn't think much about it. But, you know, it seems like people are taking advantage of other people, if you ask me. You know, if you don't have any intentions to giving your time in whatever capacity you want to define it, why allowing this guy to buy you a drink? You know? You can, like I said, you can have a conversation, you can have an interaction without him buying you something, you know? So to me, I'm thinking if I was a woman and a guy just came in and asked me to buy me a drink, unless I was interested in the guy, I think I would politely decline. I think Heather had a comment. If women are leading men on to get drinks, then yes, that's wrong. Like those women who go on dates just to get free meals. That's my point exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's not about that, you know, you owe him something because he bought it. It's the idea, why take it? Why take something from a stranger that you don't know that buys you something, especially in the nightclub or at the bar, that implies that he wants something back? Like these things are not free. So you're gonna have some guys upset. You're gonna have some guys who, and then you don't know who you're dealing with. You might be dealing with somebody who's, you know, might not even have his stuff together. He might be emotionally vulnerable, you know. So I don't know. I think it's a tricky situation to put yourself in, because now all of a sudden, you know, it feels as if you owe him something, you know, because you know how when people go out together, when they go out as a friends, what do friends normally do? You buy one, I buy one. You buy one, I buy one. Well, what we are talking about here is man buys one, man buys two, man buys three, sometimes more, and then women just leave. They just leave. They just drink and they just leave. So that's strange. That is strange. So mother said, your mother said, I will never be convinced he can go home and cry over the drink. So then where does it stops? I guess what makes it right or what makes it wrong? You know, is there some sort of moral compass that we can determine in this particular situation? You know, are you saying then that the guy can be taken advantage of for a number of drinks and then, you know, pretend like nothing happened, pretend like the guy didn't incur any losses, you know? I don't see it that way. I think that there's, like, if we're talking about like I guess a reasonable way to treat another human being, like, I think that I either going to decline it or I'm going to buy a drink to the person who bought me a drink, you know? But that's just my take on it. And it's okay to disagree. Like, we're just having the dialogue, so we don't have to agree. My friends, I don't think we're going to have time for a video tonight, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have part 2 of this conversation tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And tomorrow I'm going to focus on analyzing this video that I found on, it's a TED Talk video. I think it's going to be very interesting for many of you. So tomorrow at 9 p.m. I'll come back and I will be, it's almost 18-minute video, and I think it would be good to play it, to stop it, and to kind of, talk through it, get your take, get your questions, have a dialogue about these concepts. This professor going to talk about this subject. I'm not going to tell you the exact title of the video. In fact, don't even look up the videos. Let it be a surprise, because I think it will be good if you see it for the first time, my opinion. But I believe it will be very interesting talk tomorrow, because it's going to be based on a person who studies that stuff. So today it was more anecdotal, it was more opinions, but tomorrow we're going to dive into someone who's actually a college professor, somebody who's in the field of, I believe she's in psychology, and she has some data to share with us, with the world rather. So this was cool tonight. This was cool. I feel like it was a good conversation. It's good. It's good not always agree. It's good to have a difference of opinion and just have these conversations, I am thankful for everyone to joining tonight. Thank you, Cheyenne, for being here. Thank you. That's very sweet of you, Cheyenne. Your mother, thank you for being here, and thank you for interacting. Heather, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Sadie, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a live guest today. I appreciate your input very, very much. It was really cool to interact live. Jamie, thank you so much for hanging out, for listening and for commenting. Felicia, thank you for keep trying to join, even though internet didn't work with us tonight, but we still got in some good information and good discussion today. Elvia, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. Sorry if I forgot anyone. I'm trying to scroll up to see if there's anybody else that I'm forgetting. I think Strong Ballerina was here earlier. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your opinion. With that being said, I am excited for part 2 of this talk. This is indeed a huge topic. I enjoyed the conversation very, very much, and I'm looking forward to part 2 tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Have a great Friday. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time right here at Russian Prototype. Peace, my friends. This is the wave goodbye.